Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 81 of I Just Got My Kid to Sleep. I'm your host, Michael Palisak. I'm also the guest on the show and everything else. This is a one person, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a one person thing, um, program, one man business. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's just me. Oh man, I shouldn't have coughed right into the mic. Someday I'm gonna learn about all this stuff. I'm currently in the studio slash. I don't know if you know this, but it's my bath. It's my bath. I don't know. I live in an apartment, and I put my son to sleep. That's not the way to, not medicated, just straight. He fell asleep in. There's a mat, and then he lays there, and I lay down next to him until he falls asleep, and it's okay. He'll grow out of it. But in the meantime, I get to take a little nap before my podcast. I always fall asleep. And I don't know if it's because I'm so tired, or it's because we listen to this little sleep story thing, or it's because his arms are around my neck and he's like putting pressure on places that makes me unconscious. But we're here and we're well awake. This is a Monday where I just feel very well rested. I got a couple of solid days of sleep, nights, but they're mostly days of sleep in a row. That's the good thing. If you ever go without sleep for a little bit, then you make sure you get it, and then you're like, let's do this podcast. Let's do it. Let's do it. Why is the eagle more in the picture than me? I got a little friend here. I think his name is Lincoln, but I don't know. I think when Jack was a younger child, like 2, 3, we went to the Lincoln Museum not in Lincoln, Illinois. Don't go to Lincoln, Illinois, thinking the Lincoln Museum's there. Stop. Don't book the flight. It's close by. But Springfield, Illinois has the Lincoln Museum. And it is like Disneyland, but for Lincoln. I haven't been to other presidents' museums, but I don't know how it could compare because this museum just rocks. It really it's like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but it gets sad at the end. But also he did so much. It's so cool. For the Lincoln lovers, you'll love it. You probably have already been there. For the Lincoln, I don't think there's really haters out there. That's a good thing about being alive a long time ago is that I don't think people will because at the time, he lost a lot. My dad told me that recently. Isn't that crazy? I think that's how it came up. I just brag about this museum all the time. And and he was like he lost a lot. Yeah, but can we let that go? Everyone's I was in someone's bathroom one time in Chicago and they had that poster up. It was like he lost so many elections before he ever became president. But you have why is this in your bathroom? Who? I don't know. I guess I think the focus on the failure isn't what he would have wanted. That's all to honor the political figure of Lincoln. Have you seen the movie? It's honorable. I really liked. I thought that Lincoln that was there. I thought they were like we gotta get him alive to shoot it because it was so good. The guy that is the butcher in the New York movie. This is how my mom talks about movies. The guy with everyone. I don't know. But anyway, the Lincoln. Go to the Lincoln Museum before you even see the movie. That's because if you see the movie, you're gonna the movie focuses on a couple of days. They don't really talk. I tried to drink my thing and it was closed. Sponsor. It's not sponsor. I shouldn't say that. This cup is a gift from Bark. Ruff, ruff. Bark is a company that I did multiple shows for, and what they do is when your children are of the age where they're having social media and friends and stuff. I mean, kids probably have friends all the time. My son has friends, but I don't think we need Bark yet. But what they do is they can put something that will track, I don't know, search your kid's social media for keywords. So you don't have to read all the stuff that's going on. You don't have to read all the correspondences. because that might make you just want to. I don't know. Can you imagine reading letters to a teenager all day? That app is the hero Gotham needed and wanted. Um, Dark Knight reference. I always misquote it. But it's how I want it to be. So basically, what it does is you put it on your kid's phone somehow, and then it tells you if something bad's gonna happen, so you can intercede ahead of time. Intervene. Intervene. I don't know if intercede is the right word, and I'm not gonna look it up. But yeah, it like looks for keywords, and then if like something horrible, I'm not gonna say the things because that's sad. And this isn't the I just got my kid to sleep. Now we're sad podcast. This is I just got my kid to sleep. But if something tragic, I'll say tragic. That's Shakespearean. Tragic were to happen, it would alert you based off the information, and then it's a great system. Speaking of systems, I need to think of a way to sit because I'm just on the floor and I don't know if anybody knows any good like floor chairs. There's a lot of good suggestions out there. Someone answered on the internet, my good friend Nikki, who also named this Dr. Teeth. Hello, sleepers. That's what you're called if you listen to the podcast and you want to be called that. If you don't want to be called that, you can still be a part of the podcast audience. So I was talking about Chuck E. Cheese last week, and there was another one that my brother had gone to, and she knew the name of it, and she told me, and I remember it at the time, and now it's on my phone, and I'm recording, so we'll cover that next week. Is that okay with everybody? If you're not okay with it, just say okay. No. Anyway, Lincoln Museum. Wow. I mean, all the stuff he did was good because of what he did, but honestly, to get a museum like that, very cool. Like I don't know, maybe I'm gushing too much over this. Maybe you'll go, but no, I'm not. Because my aunt is a 6th grade teacher. Well, she used to be. She's retired. When you teach, you get to retire early because being around kids that much just wears down your soul. No, I don't know, but you get to retire young. She's a young woman who's retired from 6th grade teaching, and they used to do a field trip every year to the Lincoln Museum in Springfield, and such a cool museum. And the cool stuff isn't even the stuff you think it would be, because I thought it would be like, oh, you could see Lincoln's hat, and it's not there anymore because I don't know. They were going to sell stuff to help raise money, and then they found out that it might not be Lincoln's hat, so they had to put it away. I want to go see Lincoln's hat, even if it's maybe only 20% chance. I think that's a worthwhile exhibit. This is Lincoln's hat. 20% could be not 20% of the hat, but there's a 20% chance that Lincoln wore this hat at one point. Maybe someone like gave it to him as a gift, but I don't know if it wasn't there when I was there. At the end of the museum, they have all of his stuff. Like I got to see the stuff he shaved with. We shave with different things. You can't really find the stuff he shaved with anymore. Like, I can't live his life, But they had the stuff he shaved with. That's when you know you're great, when they're like, we need those toiletries. We're gonna throw these away, He's not around. We're just gonna throw them. No, we're gonna. That's gonna be worth something someday. So they had like a shaver. They had a lot of his stuff, not the hat, because the rumor was that it wasn't his hat. And there they were telling everybody it was his hat. And field trips everywhere were leaving thinking it was definitely his hat when there was only a chance that was his. But honestly, at some point, can it just be his hat? I know that like there's rules and laws, but it's a nonprofit, and it looks like his hat. I didn't get to see it. Maybe there's a picture in the newspaper, but there was in the newspaper because the museum was like, we're gonna have to sell some of Lincoln's stuff to keep this museum going. Which I don't. How does that work? Like that's the museum is his stuff. Like we got to sell a lot of this stuff. All right, now we can keep the museum open. Well, what are we gonna do first? We gotta buy back this stuff, but they're gonna charge more, I would think. Not sponsored by Bark, but Bark was good. I drink out of my cup. The water's not from bar. My water, I don't know what to do with my water everywhere. What's your filtration situation like? I live in a big city, and I don't know. I always used a Brita for a long time, but then I was in a Whole Foods and I found one that was like cool. It looked cool, but now I don't know where to get the filters at. Probably at Whole Foods. I should check into that tomorrow because it's definitely been like 2 years. How often do you change a Brita filter? Like, every couple months. I bet this one's like just that. It's weird. Anyway, the Lincoln. If you don't know about Abraham Lincoln lost a lot, right? He would just lose. And so it's kind of like when people tell you that he loses, you shouldn't, because what I think is like, okay, but let's focus on the good stuff. But no, but I think it's good to know when you're losing in life that Lincoln did too. I don't think that's why he did it. I don't think he threw the debates being like, you know what? This is going to help a comedian feel better about only selling 30 tickets in Fort Worth, Texas. No, that didn't happen. That was, I don't know if we hit 30 in a show. Still, no. Okay. So, but he did. He lost. But also they didn't have sound systems back then. So I feel like if you're doing a debate, a lot of it's going to be like strength of voice. It's going to be like, can you project? What are your ideas that other people can hear? We're just not hearing your ideas. Oh, you're not aligned with them? No, you're mumbling, Abe. You got the beard. You got the hat. There's nothing. Anyway, he lost. That's what's weird. Like, there's a guy that beat him a lot, and he never got to be president, I don't think. I should check. His name was like Stephen Douglas, I think. And he lost. He beat him a lot. He just settled. That's the lesson too. Is if you're winning, don't settle, because that person is getting better and better and better, because they're driven now. Because every time you losing builds character. That's what they say. And so I think what that means is that when you win, oh no, my recording stopped? No, my recording didn't stop. Why does this look weird? No, we're good. Everything's good. Everything's all as it should be. Don't worry, everybody. Just keep listening. I don't know if it's going to get better, but it's going to be a thing still. It's still working. I guarantee it, especially if you can hear this. That's a good thing about that guarantee, is that if you couldn't hear it, then it wasn't working, and then I'm not responsible for that guarantee because you didn't hear it. So, if you win, I think it's like, losing builds character, because if you win, you feel like you made it, But then I feel like if I'm winning all the time, do I gotta feel like this guilt of like, well, now I gotta go lose at something just so I keep growing? But it is a good lesson to like get back out there, right? Sometimes when you win, you're like, well, let's just leave on a high note. But you can really feel like I took an improv class, and I took a lot of improv classes in Chicago, and there was one where like you get up there and you do a scene. If it went well, it was an improv class where you were like writing too. So there were ideas, and exercise. And so it was kind of like the straight up improv classes where you just like go out with nothing. What's the point? Why do we got to do that? I don't see any part, like, who are we proving ourselves to, right? I get like, I think the point of improv is like, you don't need lines, so you just make that up. But now we got to go off of, just assuming we know. I don't know. It's fine. But I always thrived in improv situations where there was like a relationship or like something was given to us that was very helpful. Not just like, this whole thing's inspired by banana. Anyway, it's all very helpful. I learned a lot, but I always felt like in class, if I had a scene go well, I was like, I'm going to get back up there, because I don't want to sit on my laurels. I don't want to like feel easy about that. This is a process, and I always feel like that's a good place in life, when whether you win. That's what I heard too, is when you win or lose, you just stay even Steven, even keel, right there, right? Like Jim Tomei said that. He was a baseball player that played for a lot of teams, and they asked him one time, what's like the key to like hitting so well? And he's like, you gotta stay even, you're gonna have highs and you're gonna have lows, but you gotta stay right here. And that's gotta be. It's always like when someone successful says something and you're like, oh, I'm gonna learn from them, and then they say it and you're like, well, I can't do that. Yeah. Yeah, you might as well just say, just do well. How am I going to stay right here? I just got a hit. I just ripped the ball into right center. I'm on second base. You want me to just be like, um, I just struck out 2 times in a row. I looked foolish. You want me, I guess that would be good. That's a good message. And I think that maybe, I don't know. Did Lincoln do that? Did he stay even? We don't know. We just know that he lost a lot. And you don't hear that about everybody, you know? It's not just like this message that they're getting. It was real. Like he lost. I wonder if he was bad. He just kept going. He also like taught himself law in his house. I think he went to college eventually, but he like taught himself how to read. What did he? I know that at the Lincoln Museum they show you what like the size of the house that he grew up in. It was like a cabin, right? And it looks very nice, right? Like like a New York apartment probably. Studio for sure. They all slept in one room, which is awkward. I mean, that's just you live with what you live, you know. And there was a point in their lives where their mom passed, died, and dead, gone. And the dad was like, I think dad drank a little bit, so which I don't know, maybe save that money and buy an extra room. Anyway, he left, and he was like, I gotta go find you another mom because I can't. Which is kind of good parenting. He's living his kids alone, but you can't really kidnap kids when you're in the wilderness. Like, what are you gonna take me to your wilderness home? Good. Now you got to take care of me. So he left to go to the city to find a woman to marry, to bring home to his son and his daughter, who he kind of left, and maybe that affected them long term. Maybe if he hadn't left, he would have become president earlier, but he was a little abandonment issues. Are you leaving to say like I don't know. I bet you believe your parents that they're coming back, but if my mom and dad just or my mom or dad, whichever one lived, I love both of them equally. I hope they both lived in that situation. They're both alive. I want them to both live. I want them to live. I haven't decided. I don't think I want to decide whether I want one of them. I think you'd want one of them, right? But I kind of want both of them at the same time holding hands to go that way. I don't know. Would it be nice to have, but I've missed the other one. Is it better to miss both or just miss one and have? I don't know. I don't. Luckily, I don't get to decide. Kids do not get to decide when their parents die. That's just like parents don't get to get rid of their kids when they're alive. So these are the laws we live by, whether you agree. Full circle. So the Lincoln Museum. Lincoln was like teaching himself how to read by like firelight, which why didn't you do some work during the day? I know you got like a lot of like logging to do to try to put on that extra room or whatever, some hunting, I don't know, you growing stuff, but he's just like reading by the fire because they didn't have TV or anything. Did you know? You learned that when you go to the museum. Lincoln had no TV his whole life. That's what they should teach you. Like he lost all the time, but didn't have TV. So he just had to take it. When he came home from work, he just had to like sit with it and be with it, maybe read some Shakespeare or something. They didn't have a lot of books probably, and just like grow, right? Just stay even. Anyway, he lost a lot. The museum's cool because it has the stuff. But there is like one of my most memorable spots is there's a scene in the museum where it's like Lincoln, because it's like Disney, there's like some animatronic stuff, and it's his office at the White House, and the kids are like destroying his office. Like there's ink everywhere. They're throwing stuff, and Lincoln's just hanging out. And it was the story is that he was pretty easy on the kids, not like a stern father. Which whenever I feel like I'm being a little easy on Jack, I'm like, well, I'm kind of being like Lincoln. And he was a great president. Sure, he lost a lot, but I don't think it was because he was easy on his kids. Anyway, go to the Lincoln Museum. It's there. If you go there with a baby there or a child, they have a kids area. The whole thing is for everybody though. Like we took Jack through when he was pretty young, and he didn't know enough to be scared. That's what's weird about kids is like when they're really young, they don't know enough to be scared. And then you take when they're a little older and they're like, what happened at the end, Dad? Why did you, where is he? Well, he was old. Lincoln's old. Not really that old. Can you spell? I don't know. They also have Lincoln's gravestone tomb, which that's crazy. Have you ever been to like someone's famous tombs as famous as Abraham Lincoln? It is. It's like like a little pyramid. Like it's big, and then you get there, right? And if the place is open, you don't have to like break in or anything, which is good. I just heard the door open. I hope I'm not being too loud. It's not midnight yet, but it is kind of late. I don't know if the quiet hours are 10. It's after 10 o'clock, but I think it's going to be okay. Anyway, Lincoln, you get there, and it's like it's a huge memorial to him, and then you just know that he's in there. Maybe his hat. Maybe we can get that hat. I don't know if you can ever get in there. I think when the tomb is that big, we should be able to get in and look around, and leave like a door unlocked. I don't know, but you can go in. You don't get to see him. He wouldn't be looking that good, When did he die? Over 150 years ago, probably. Yeah. Phew. That's crazy. He wouldn't even be like 200 years old if he was alive. It's weird. Anyway, the grave, it's very, I won't say intimidating, but there's a home there too in Springfield, Illinois, and that was his, they say. And anyway, the whole Lincoln experience. I don't know how it couldn't be for everybody. I think everybody. When I was a child, my parents, we went on vacation to go see family. I've shared this before, but not everybody has heard it. I can't assume that everyone's caught up on all 81 episodes yet. 80. This is 81. Easy, Michael. When I was a kid, we went on vacation to see fam. That was just, we didn't see any Lincoln stuff. Or a couple times, 2 times we went to Florida, and that was really fun, but 0 Lincoln activities. And it's just crazy that this is just sitting there in the middle of Illinois. If you're driving from Chicago to St. Louis, it's right there. I think it's Springfield, right there. And I don't know if I was, but one time I was in a relationship a long time ago, and she was from St. Louis and I was from Chicago. I was like, oh, if we got married, we get married where Lincoln's buried, not at the grave, but at the museum. They have like a cool ballroom, and then everyone could see this museum too, and I thought that would be really nice. Which president would you get married at's museum if you had a choice? I got to go to some other ones because maybe they're all really cool. I always confuse them because there's libraries, and those are different. This is not a library. This is not the Lincoln Library. I know every president gets a library. This is not that. This is Lincoln Museum. So don't go expecting to check out some books. They're not there. Anyway, this is where we got this eagle, because Lincoln was the president of the United States, and the bald eagle is the bird of the country. It used to be endangered, but now it's not. That might not be factual, but I'm pretty sure that they're back. Bald eagles, they're around. This one's been through a some. I remember Jack's face, my son, because when we bought it, we went to this museum. I think it was just me and him for some reason, and I gave him. I think we were driving down to St. Louis to see his family. I don't know, and we went in there, and he just saw that eagle, and he just put his face on it. And that's how we bought stuffed animals when he was younger. Kind of now, too. He just put his face on them. And then I was like, okay, well, that's yours now. I think that's the rule. If your face has been all over it. I think he does need a wash, though. Did you know you can wash stuffed animals? Here's your tip. Tip of the day. As a parent, is that what you do is you get these little mesh bags, they're for other delicate things you can wash, and you put them around the stuffed animal. This would have to be you'd have to get a big one if you got a guy like Lincoln here. And you put them in the washer, right? Not a big deal. We all know that. But then you put them in the dryer on the lowest of the low. Like, if you can get lower than any other thing on there, try to get lower, because you want just someone blowing on it, and then just have it in there for a long time, because you gotta dry all that stuffing out, and then it's clean, and you don't want to like scorch the softness out of it. It does kind of, though. It's never gonna be the same. It's never gonna be the same. Does anybody else struggle how it's never gonna be the same? I do struggle with how things are never gonna be the same when it comes to like stuffed animals because like their whole function is being like stuffed, cozy beings, right? And they're at their peak when they're new. And then they get a little bit like whatever, or maybe you gotta wash them, and it's like, are you still capable of showing up to work every day? Can you still serve a purpose, or are you just gonna be on the podcast for a little bit, and then I'll send you out to pasture, or whatever they call it, whatever they call it. One time, I did a show in Medora, North Dakota, and not to make this all about presidents, but they're really big on Theodore Roosevelt there, and they have horses in the show, not in my part, but in the other parts, and they celebrated one of the horses saying it was retiring, and I thought that meant that horse was going to die, and I mentioned that during my set, and no one really laughed because it wasn't funny, but also it wasn't going to die. You don't have, when a horse is retired, they don't have to die. They just, you only kill them with their, like, break a leg or something. So, I don't know. I'm not killing it, but I've been to horse racing. Anyway, so that's the Lincoln Museum, and this is the stuffed animal. We call him Lincoln. I think it's weird. I was thinking about this. This is a thing that I was thinking about, and I'm not saying I prepared it for this, but I thought about it again now that I'm doing it, and I really should share. I think it's strange. Okay, odd. We would get stuffed animals for our son, right? He's got like so many. It's great. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta get a storage unit just for stuffies, or I could just get rid of them. No. So we would get one for him, and then we'd be like, "What's its name?" Right? And Jack would never think of any names. He would just say what it was, and then add a Y. And I get it because he doesn't. Why does it need a name? You know, it's like us being like, "Hey, how come you don't play with this how we would as parents?" You know, it needs a name, right? It doesn't need a name. It's just a happy friend. You know, like mom and dad have names, but not really, right? I don't know. This was more prepared in my head. Like, I think the idea is not telling your kid how to play with their toys. Like, he didn't get too upset, but he never came up with good names, is what I'm trying to say. And I think our perception of childhood is so different than what it really is. Because as parents, we were like, oh, you live in this world where everything is magical and pretend, and everything comes to life, and every toy has a backstory and its own life, and really it's just like a little baby or older just being like, yeah, I don't know, this looks nice. Like, I don't know, I don't know what you expect me, like, we just expected him to have this thing that we don't get to have with stuff because we're grown-ups, and he would just, no, that's eagerly. That's what he was, or whatever. He named half of his stuffed animals Cherry, and then eventually started just whatever it was. Yeah, had a Y, and I get it because I don't know. Have you ever written like a movie, a screenplay? It's not really a movie unless it becomes shot, I guess. But like a book, like a novel, or even a short, where you have to come up with a character's name. I'm just like, I don't know. Who is this guy? Because you know when you're writing, I gotta sneeze. I'm gonna keep talking though, because every second, why does it sound like we're gonna yawn? Bless you. I don't need to say that to myself. Um, I why? Whoa, what did that happen? I just forgot. No, I know that I was talking about stuffed animals and how you name them and how kids. My son didn't know any names. Oh yeah, if you ever write something creative where you gotta think of a name, that's just like, I feel like every name I'm thinking of is just like, well, this is, everyone's gonna know this is bad, right? When really, like, you just name it and then you go, you know, unless you want to put some significance behind the name. When I was in high school, we read a lot. We read a book by J.D. Salinger, and our teacher, The Catcher in the Rye, I don't know if you've heard, very pop. And our teacher told us that J.D. Salinger, when he uses names, he picks them very deliberately. And I was like, oh, I'll remember that. But then I got older. I was like, every writer deliberately chooses a name, like with meaning behind it. But there's no meaning. You just pick a name. I think that's the point of that. So that's Lincoln, which We named him that way, and we're moving on. I'm Michael Palsek, episode 81. We're not done. I was in where did I go? That's when you know you're traveling and you don't remember. I was in Bloomington, Indiana, but first I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and last I was in Wabash, Indiana. I grew up in Wabash, Indiana, and then I never lived in Bloomington or Louisville, but it was very very nice to get home and see people. I think they're tired of me a little bit, like they're kind of done. I probably this is like my fourth show there, and this is the first one I've ever done on a Saturday. Like I've done Thursday, we usually get Thursdays because there's this movie theater called the Eagles Theater. Oh, is that why you're here today? Is that why I picked you? Because you're the Eagle? I don't know, but it's called Eagles Theater, and I would always do a Thursday when I got shows because they'd have movies on Saturdays, and they're like, we can't move Rio for you, Michael, the bird movie. And I don't expect them to. But now they have extra theaters, so they were able to move the Downton Abbey movie to like I guess the smaller theater. And I just got to do the show in the normal theater. And but there was also like a museum event going on, and people came, But it was the first last year I filmed my special there. If you see it, it's called He's Friendly, and it's there. And I was like, I want to film my special here, and they're like, how's Thursday? How's a Thursday? If you don't know that about usually Saturday is the nicest day. But people came out and it was very fun, but it wasn't full. There were a good amount of seats, like over half were empty. And I don't take it personally, but I think people maybe are like, we're good. We're fine. And that's fine. But the people that came had fun, I think, and I had fun. And my friend Jared Castlebaum did a set, and his grandpa used to coach high school football at Wabash before I was there, and a lot of people recognize the name. And then his aunt used to be the librarian at the high school, I think, and so it was really special to have him on the show because his parents came and family came, and his cousin was the sound guy, killed it with the sound. The lighting was great. That venue is so good. If you look on, you don't have to watch the special, but you probably would, if you haven't seen it already. It looks, doesn't look like it was just someone being like, I want to do this by myself. And it was. I had some people help, but anyway, this was very fun. I got in the day before. If you've never been to Wabash, the Charlie Creek Inn is right across the street from Eagles Theater, and it is one of the nicest hotels I've ever stayed. Maybe the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. It's been around for I think about 15 years, but like all of the beds are like they look like they're handcrafted antiques. I don't know what the words are, but they're so nice. The linens very very high thread count. I don't know for sure, but it's really there's like the art on the walls is like from a specific the Richard Ford, who donated a lot of the money to get it started. It's like from his art collection. Like this hotel is sweet. Um, Super nice. Love staying there. There's a reunion in a couple weeks I keep calling it anniversary for my class reunion, and I think I'm gonna try to stay there again. And everyone that works there is so nice. When you check in, this is one of the best parts about the Charlie Creek Inn, is that when you check in, you get a little card. Okay, you get your keys or whatever too. Those are great. But then you get a little card that says you can get a free glass of wine at the wine bar, which hotels do that sometimes. They'll be like, here's your free drink, because they know they want you to have a good time, right? Or whatever, feel at home. But they also know once you start with one, you'll be like, well, that one was free. Let's get another. And then that's how happy hour works, right? I'm not a bar, but there at the Charlie Creek Inn, the thing says you can get wine or get it. Okay, 2 scoops of ice cream from the ice cream place. I don't know, maybe it's at the wine place too, but it's like ice cream. It's not wine, and that's unprecedented. 2 scoops of free ice cream for staying at your hotel. Get out of here. Get out. Amazing. I didn't get over to have any because I just forgot. Sometimes luck hits you right in the face and you're just like, I forgot, you know. Anyway, that's really nice. Um, it's so cool because I grew up in that town, and that hotel was never there, and it's so fun to see that that can be like someone's vacation now because there's the Eagles Theater, but there's also the Honeywell Center, which has the Ford Theater, which holds like 1,500 seats, and that's where I saw Weird Al when I was a kid or in high school, and it changed my life. Weird Al changed. I saw Weird Al's performance, and then I just became happier for like 4 months, um, maybe longer. I just really, that's why I do. That's the if I can bring a small fraction of that joy that Weird Al brought to the town of Wabash that day, then that's all I ever wish. And I didn't mean to say that I was disappointed at all with the show in Wabash. It was just that there were less people there than before, and I'm keeping track. So I know that. And I'm gonna come back as long as they have me. I don't know. I didn't sell a lot of tickets. I sold a decent amount. Anyway, very sensitive. I don't know. I'm not I just anyways, it's a Saturday, but it is okay. I gotta figure out how to cut this out. But my parents came in and which was really nice. And we walked to where we used to live. Like just outside. Are you guys people that like knock on the door and you're like, we used to live here? Can we walk around? My mom is not that way at all. If she even hears that you thought about doing that, she's like, why would you do that? Because my older brother has done that before. And we walked on the outside. We saw what the house looks like on the outside. And then we looped back around to another place where we used to live. And then like the school and the church we went to. And it's really interesting because we were there for the show, right? Which is nice to have a reason to come home. And the people, it's great seeing old friends. My American Legion baseball coach came. Some of my best friends from high school came to the show, which is very special. One of my best friends brought two of his kids, which as a comedian, like kid comedy is a little different, right? Like I remember when I was a kid, I felt like I just loved everything because it was so like grown up a little bit. Like if I was allowed to watch it, there wasn't like, what's it called? Like profanity or anything, but it was definitely so cool to see someone just up there making people laugh. And, but I know when I've done shows for families, like at a college, like a family weekend or whatever, the kids aren't the ones that worry me because, they're used to being dragged to things they don't like. But I do want everyone to have a good time, So if someone asks if they can bring their kid, I just want to be like, yeah, but I do make fun of being a parent and how that's a pain. So your kid might feel that and then not get sad. But also like my thing, like I talk a lot about my life and I'm an adult, so it's not like exciting to a kid and he might not even get it. But anyway, my friend was like, can I bring, is okay? And I said, bring your children to me. Cause I thought that would be funny to say in a text. If someone's like, hey, can I bring my kids to the show? Bring your children to me. Bring all the children to me. But that kind of made it sound like my show would be for all ages. And it is appropriate. I don't think anybody thought it was like dirty or anything. But or maybe if it was, the kid would have liked it. But like Greg Warren does specifically all ages shows. And he's very funny and it does great. And I've heard someone else gave me some advice like that. You should do an all ages show. I just feel like to be responsible for making all ages laugh is it's not, I don't know, just limits the material, like the reference points. I don't want to lose a kid talking about, I don't know. I have a joke about a dating app. That's not a kid thing. Like why kids just meet, kids are too young. Anyway, so my friend brought his kids and the older one who I knew from when he was younger, he was very nice. And he said he really liked it. And then the other one was like dressed really in a cool way. Like he had a cool hat on. And I could just tell that he was not impressed. And he wasn't even like old enough to be like the not impressed teenager. He was just like, that's just what it was. And I was like, I don't know if I said, but you didn't like it. But he was very clear. He's like, yeah, I didn't think it was funny. But I was okay with it. I mean, I think I'm okay. I'm working on being okay with it. Like I knew I kind of set myself up for it because I didn't have to really interact with him or ask. And I knew there was nothing I could do, or not nothing I could do. There was nothing I was gonna do. As a stand-up comedian, you're used to doing a show every night for different people. So when there's a kind of like a need for something different, it's like, well, it's not going to change drastically because I know this now. But anyway, I've had other kids be fans. And I think it's nice for parents to be able to come and bring kids, whether the kids have fun or not, because you have to do so much stuff for your kids. It's like, I don't know, Jack will go to a Dodger game with me, or he'll go to a football game with me. And I don't, like, he likes it. Now, when he was younger, I could tell he was a little bit over it. But now he likes it. He likes to watch it. But I don't know how he knows what's going on all the time, you know? But he's super into it. Some of it's because of the ice cream, but it's it's fun. Anyway, it's always good to be brought back down, you know, because you do the show, everyone's having a good time, it ends well. People, one group said that it's the best they've ever. One lady was really nice, and this is just me bragging, but she was like, I don't want to insult you. And I was like, well, no. She was like, that was the best that I'd seen, and not that the other ones were bad. And I was like, no, that's how it's supposed to be, you know. But that was really nice to be home. And Bloomington, Indiana was super fun. Bloomington, it was Dad's weekend at IU, and IU went on to beat Illinois like by a lot. And I'm not saying that I caused that, but if someone was at the show and I made them feel really, maybe that did help. And then I was in Louisville, Kentucky, where some friends came out to the show. But it was a weeknight, right? Thursday night. So I found myself after the show at a place called The Post. And whenever I do a show in Louisville, I go to The Post because it is a really cool pizza place, not downtown, but not far from downtown. And they're always open till like midnight. And their salads are good, and their pizza is good, and they have darts. Their pizza's huge, though. It is huge. Huge. I don't know if you can, like, 2 pieces is like half of a full, maybe large pizza. Like, I got 2 pieces, and I was like, because you know, like the New York style slice, right? This was like that plus another half, right? But I got two because I forgot, and a salad and a breadstick. And I watched some of the Bills game, and it was so nice, you know? Everyone went home, and I got to go to this place. It's really nice, I think, as a parent to go somewhere, and I don't drink, but to go to a bar and watch a thing and eat some food by yourself, it just feels like a little vacation, you know, like, and hanging out with people is really nice. But you know, if you don't hang out with people a lot, sometimes there's a little effort to be put. I'm not like, I don't think a lot of comedians are like really good extrovert people, you know. We can talk to people. I can talk to people, and I enjoy people, but I enjoy not people too sometimes. I think we all do. And I think that's what's never really emphasized in our society is like not people is good. You can be fine with not people because everyone sees not people as like, I don't know, do you have problems? No, it's just I have not people right now. Like there are diners that serve cereal. Do you think you go there with a friend to buy? No, you're going to eat breakfast by yourself to be around people, but also not people. That I think is kind of the dream, right? Not people, but around people, I think, because that's how I feel. I feel like this sense when people are around to hang out and interact, and this pressure to enjoy every moment of the presence of people. But if they can be around, but I can be doing something else that they would understand, like I have to go to work or whatever, that's nice. Because then they're there if I want to hang out with them. But when they're not, when I'm not, it's just, they're still there. That they're still there. Anyway, Bloomington, Louisville, the Post. Yeah, a lot of driving. I got sleepy when I drove, but I pulled over and I slept. What do we got over here? I don't know what I want to talk. Oh, I had a whole thing. I don't know. Is it real? Who knows? But on the internet, it said that Reese Witherspoon said that movies are going to change or go away because kids don't have the attention span anymore. And that was just the headline. And I could have read the article, but I don't think I have the attention span for that. But I disagree. 150,000. Can we normalize something real quick? Okay, maybe I should look up what normalized means. But like, can we really figure this out? Like, kids have attention spans. I don't know. I can't speak for all kids. My son has especially when it's time to go to bed. He has a very good attention span when he knows that it's time to go to. They have great capabilities of attention span. Take them to. Maybe you take your kids to too many movies, lady, or maybe your kids are grown up and whatever. But we go to a movie, right? And my son has an icy that's the size of like an eighth of his body, and there's popcorn, and the movie is going. Like, we left when he was younger. When the icy was done, he would get scared. But now that he's not scared, we're there. We're there. And then we're gonna go do he wants to do something else in the movie theater area, you know? It's just like with baseball. When they started they wanted to like make baseball shorter. So they added a pitch clock. They got rid of the intentional walk pitching, which seems like so ridiculous. Like, oh, we saved what? We saved 3 minutes once a game. I don't know. Maybe it's not even like a minute, And and I was listening to a broadcast of a game one time, and it went extra. They got rid of extra innings basically by putting a guy on second. Like, it'll never be the same in the regular season. And the radio guy was saying, like, it was going really late. And the radio guy was just like, we're going to lose the kids. And then he was like out for a while. And I was like, no, the radio people, the people that work in baseball don't want it to be long because that's their job. But kids, I would say the kids at the game, they don't want to go home earlier. What are you kidding me? They want to stay and watch more. Like, what kid in the world is out at night with their parents when they're young, or whatever? And they're like, I just wish I could go home and go to bed. Like, no. And if they do, they go to bed. I don't know. Or watching it too. Like, I've never been like, I have to watch this whole baseball game. Oh no, it's too long. No, it's like, I'll catch it when it's on. Good. It's going to be on for like 8 hours. That's fantastic. Anyway. So that's my not beef. I don't have a beef with Reese. I just think I have a different experience where my child loves movie. And you know what? The thing I don't like, Mrs. Witherspoon, is that you also have a book club. Like, that's way more time, attention span stuff. Anyway, is that I don't want her influencing Hollywood because as a parent of a 6-year-old, when I am up late, maybe recording a podcast after he goes to sleep, maybe doing something for me, maybe playing the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Nintendo because I never beat it as a kid because I heard it was too hard. But now there's some really good YouTube videos that are really teaching me. And you can get 4 continues by pressing up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, select, start, or just start. That's the Contra code, but it's Konami. It's the same thing. And Konami is actually in, I think, Hermosa Beach. I passed the building. Anyway, I didn't know that was around when I was a kid. They just said it was Contra. And I was like, I don't even have Contra, but apparently it works on other games. So you can get 2 extra continues. And I've beaten that water level where you get electrocuted all the time. And I feel like I can really figure out the rest of it by just giving myself a chance. And so maybe I did that a little too late, and now I'm tired. And my son's awake. He's awake. I'm so glad my son is healthy. But if he could just be quieter in the morning about it, that would be so good. Kids are it's morning. Like, I get it. You're healthy. You're up. Yay. But just, you don't have to mope around. Just, I don't know. My son said today that he was in school, and maybe this is more pro Reese argument, that at school, sometimes he has times where there's just nothing and they're just sitting there. And I was like, oh, like after school when you're waiting to do something? He's like, no, like during the classroom, Mr. Rodriguez is thinking and we just don't have anything to do. We're just sitting there. And some people, I'm like, I think you're talking about like 10 seconds. I think, I think he's literally talking about like, oh, there was 15 seconds where he was going through a lesson plan. And they were like, well, there's nothing to do right now. I don't know. But as a parent who might be up to like having a movie for a family that we can go to, like every week of the year, there should be one movie at the movie theater that we can go to. And I'm not going to fall asleep during it, but it'll kill like 2 hours because previews are a half hour. I'll get to eat a snack, maybe kill a meal if I throw a hot dog in there that he's not going to eat, but I'll put it in there. I gave you lunch. And I get to do that at like 1 o'clock, and it'll get me to 4, with traffic. And then from 4 on, we're just getting ready for bed. So, Ms. Withers, I need the family movies to be long and there because that's the survival. Look at the numbers this summer because I followed it a little bit. The family movies aren't making money from what I've heard and seen. Adults might stay home or do whatever or like, not need to watch it. But kids, we're going to the movies because I've been entertaining you your whole life and I need an hour and a half. My parents got my son this toy from the Lakeshore Learning Center, which is really nice, and they recommended it for him. I don't know if I talked about this, and it projects animals on paper, and then you can trace them and draw them. And my parents gave it, and they're like, "See, this will give you some time to get stuff done," and it was so nice. What a great gift! And I remember the day he used it because they used toys for one day, and he did all of the drawings, and I had to give him different pieces of paper, and it was like 15 minutes, and I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you. Can you color them now? You don't, you like them not colored? Maybe they could be colored. They might be colored. There's colored pencils. Maybe color each one very accurately. Show me, make this an elephant. Right now it's just a tracing. Make it an elephant. Make it an elephant. Did you know that rhinoceroses, I think this is true. Maybe it's hippopotamuses. Hippopotamuses are vegetarians. So I don't know how healthy that is. There's not hippopotamus shaming, but they're large. So no, that was just a thought that came up. Anyway, keep making the movies. This week I'm doing a set at the Comedy Store in LA at 10 p.m. on a show that I don't know the name of, but it's at 10. I imagine it's at I don't know, maybe it's in the main room or the original room, but I bet it's in the belly room. Usually, I'm in the development set at 10 p.m. on Friday. If you message me, I'll tell you where. And next week, I'll be in Kearney, Nebraska, which I'm super excited. I did a thing today promoting it. And then I'll be in Iowa, Okoboji, Iowa in November, and Burlington, Iowa in November. I'll be in Chicago and Rosemont in October, and also Sterling, Illinois, and another place. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Check out Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in October. But thanks everybody for listening, and remember check out that Lincoln Museum, any museum. All right, I love you guys. Thanks. Bye, sleepers. Thanks for listening.